Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your libertarian car guy, your diaper dissenter. I thought that given the news about the orange Rona, pretty depressing, it might be good to talk about something that's got nothing to do with Rona for once, that has to do with classic and interesting motorcycles. Decided to do a little retrospective on my 2003 Kawasaki ZRX 1200R, which is the only new motorcycle, or excuse me, the only motorcycle that I've ever bought new. I've owned a lot of bikes, never bought a new one. Bought this one back in '03. Gosh, can't believe it's 17 years ago that I saw this thing in the showroom. Actually, I saw it in magazines before and knew it had to be mine. The reason that it had to be mine is because it's so much like my 76 KZ900, which I've had for an even longer time. I know, I'm getting old. It's horrible. It happens to all of us. But anyway, I've had this bike forever, and I've always loved it. I've loved the way it looks. I've loved the attitude, and I've also loved the fact that it's incredibly reliable, which was something that early bikes were not, particularly back in the 70s. Now, this bike, which is a 76, is largely the same as the 72 Z1 900, which was the very first large CC Japanese superbike. Some will say that the 69 Honda CB750 was the first modern large CC bike, and that's true, but it was smaller displacement. It was a single overhead cam engine. Neat bike, but not a super bike. This bike is a super bike. Back in the day, back in 1972, this bike was capable of 12-second quarter miles and nearly 140 miles an hour on the top, and that was really big speed back in the 70s. And even today, a 12-second quarter mile is pretty impressive. There are not many cars, high-performance cars, that run a 12-second quarter mile. Anyway, I've always loved this bike, everything about it, and then they came out with this thing. And oh my gosh, I just had to have it. Notice the paint, same as the Z1000 that Eddie Lawson raced in the Superbike series. Very similar to his bike. It was specifically designed to recall that bike and all of the early Zeds. Those are the visual similarities. There's also mechanical similarities. Both bikes have dual overhead cam 4-cylinder engines. Both bikes have two staggered rear shocks, or not staggered, two rear shocks. A lot of modern bikes have a unishock in the back, this big beefy swing arm underneath the thing, which just looks ballsy as hell. Always loved that about the bike. And still has carburetors. Still has carburetors, so it's got a choke. It does not have a computer, does not have catalytic converters, doesn't have oxygen sensors, any of that stuff. So even though this thing is a modern bike, relatively speaking, 2003, it is a lot like an old bike. Not that much difference in a lot of ways between the two of them, and yet there are differences. Bottom line is, I don't think I'm ever going to sell the first bike that I've ever bought new, just as I don't think I'm ever going to sell my 76 KZ. That'd be like selling my kid if I had one, so I guess de facto these things have become my kids. Anyway, more up at epautos.com, the web's best libertarian gearhead site. And if you're interested in reading something about the Orange Man and his Rona diagnosis, there's something up there about that as well. I'm going to do something else today. I think I can only take so much, like most people. I don't want to think about face diapers. I don't want to think about needles. I want to think about chrome and polished steel and going fast on two wheels. So thanks as always for viewing. Thanks for supporting the site, and we will catch up with you again soon.